How's it going, man?
I'm doing great. How about you? Brand new tour. Just started, what, a couple days ago?
No, we started, must have been the last week of May.
Okay, a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no, actually, no, first week of May. I'm sorry.
Oh, first week of May. I was going to say, hey,
It's tour. Don't ask me questions about days and hours and stuff like that.
You're on the road. How are you to know what days are what anymore, right? They just tell you, they point in the direction, say, hey, you got to go there. You got to call this guy. You got to do this.
I tell everybody that I know I'll be on stage. I'm not sure what day or when, but I will be there.
Can you believe it? It's almost been 20 years that Collective Soul has been together.
Don't try to add years, but yeah, we're a solid 18 at this point. A solid 18, which means we're creeping up on 19 really quick. And, yeah, we're going to kind of call 2013 our 20 year, even though we were signed to Atlantic Records January of 94. The Collective Soul independent release came out in 1993.
Yeah, so you can cheat a little bit. Yeah, not a problem. We're talking to Will Turpin. He's the bass player and the backup singer for Collective Soul and probably one of the founding members and heart and soul of Collective Soul, I'm sure. And I wanted to ask you, Will, you've seen it all. Come on, 1991, 93. There's been a lot of changes in our industry, hasn't there?
Yeah, man, we have... Collective Soul has been part of an evolution in the record industry that not a lot of bands get to see the way we have. I mean, they released actual cassettes of our first two records, and we sold a lot of cassettes, if that gives you any reference point. Some of your listeners probably don't even know what cassettes are.
I know.
And then we were one of the first bands to branch out on our own as an independent label and use the internet and the social media that's out there to let everybody know that we were doing stuff. And it's definitely been an interesting evolution that we've been able to be a part of.
Well, I've noticed on your website you use a lot of YouTube videos just to kind of catch up and have fun with whomever is around. And that's kind of how you have to do it now, huh? You have to create your own world and broadcast it on your own terms on the internet.
Yeah, on your own terms is a good way to say it. It works really well, but it's definitely not for everybody. I mean, a lot of artists that I know don't really want to put themselves out there like that. I mean, a lot of artists like to work on their craft and write their songs, and they don't want to have to be Mr. Social Media. But we're pretty good at it. There's people who are a lot better at it, but it can be a very powerful tool used the right way.
Can you survive in today's music environment, though, without using it?
You can. The answer to that is yes. You know, maybe, and it depends. I don't know. You know,
yeah.
You'd have to have a huge label behind you and a bunch of people working for you.
That would do it for you, but still, you'd have to partake in the social media universe in order to make things happen nowadays. It's just really amazing how musicians now who never were heard have a base audience that can find them on the internet.
Is that a pro or a con? And I mean, I still look at it from the artist perspective, and I figure it's a pro.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff out there, but I still believe cream rises to the top, and for the most part, I'm glad it's all there. You know, there's been some growing pains. There's been the Napster. There's been a lot of copyright infringement. You know, honestly, it's tough to put tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into a record, and a lot of the younger generation thinks they should be able to get it for free. There's definitely some growing pains, and there's some conversations and some maneuvering that needs to be done to really kind of figure it out. But yeah. I'm really glad that anybody can get their stuff out there to be heard.
Yeah, that's really the bottom line, is that it's just one more way for a pair of ears to hear your songs.
Right.
You know, really.
Right.
When it's all said and done. Now, you guys have gone through a lot of changes. You've kind of rode this entire wave, because the 90s were kind of solid. You got into the music business when the music business was the music business. It was the big guy in town. You couldn't go anywhere without him. And now you've kind of come back around with changing labels a couple years back and creating your own label and going on your own way. And has that given you a lot of freedom?
I would say yes, but the way Collective Soul started out, we started out on an independent label. We had sold over 30,000 copies of Hence Allegations and Things Left Unsaid before Atlantic signed us. So when Atlantic signed us and just put their stamp on that record and then started selling millions of copies, and then that was the year you couldn't get Shine off the radio, they had nothing to do from an artistic standpoint. So that actually carried through our career. Every record we did, we had total control over what we wanted to do, what we wanted to sound like. I know it's different for a lot of bands. The record label wants to dictate almost exactly how they sound and exactly what they do, but it was different for Collective Soul, honestly. And only because of the way we started. We started off on an independent label, and then we ended up on our own independent label. You know, after they sold 2 million copies of Hints and Allegations, and they had nothing to do with the artistic side of it, they let us do the same thing on the second record, and then the third record, and the fourth record, and it was all positive for everybody. We sold lots of records with them.
Well, I know you're just starting your Dosage 2012 tour. How do you wrap your head around this? Because the song Tremble for My Beloved, you know, you guys made this back in the late 90s, 1999 on the Dosage album, and now here it is, a whole new generation is digging that song, and you're finding new fans at your concert venues.
It's cool. We knew Stephanie Myers was a fan of ours because she was popular as an author and had her website up and running before the Twilight films came out. Friends had told us how much of a Collective Soul fan she was. Well, the film gets done, and then we get a call about the soundtrack, and of course we're like, wow, that's great, but we still had no idea how big this movie was going to be.
Yeah.
And so the movie comes out, and obviously a song we recorded, God, I guess we recorded that song a decade before it came out on the Twilight film, is on there. And yeah, man, we see, I could almost read some of the younger ladies' lips. They'd be at the shows, they'd be up close stage, and we play a song like Shine from 1994, and I could almost read their lips perfect. They'd be like, oh, I didn't know they played that song, you know. So soundtracks have been really good for Collective Soul, man. It's a way to bridge generation gap. It's also a way to bridge activity between records. Golly, man, you can't really underestimate how powerful that soundtrack was for us.
Oh, no, it's got to be huge. And I'm just wondering, is it bigger than you guys? Are you being developed into the Twilight saga now? Are you able to maintain your own identity through it all?
You know what? I don't care which identity somebody gravitates towards.
There you go.
As long as they enjoy what we do. And we've always been a band that attracts a number of different listeners. If you come to our show, you may not find a more eclectic crowd. You're going to see 40-year-old, 50-year-old rockers. You're going to see 30-year-old soccer moms. You're going to see parents with their 12-year-old kids. You're also going to see teenagers and college kids at the show too. And I figured that's a good thing, man. We've crossed many generations, and I'm really happy with that.
Now, Will, you're just about to swoop into Southern California. May I suggest sunglasses and a bathing suit? You're going to be over at the House of Blues in Anaheim on June 10th, and then on June 12th, you'll be at the House of Blues right there in Hollywood. Do you love that venue? Do you find those more intimate type of venues better than the big arena type?
I think on a performance level, like as far as intimacy goes, I like the smaller ones. I find that I like the bigger venues when it comes to putting money in my pocket. So it just depends.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the bottom line is the bottom line, but there is a great energy right there at the House of Blues.
Man, those House of Blues venues, I've said it before a number of times. They've really done a good job with every one of their venues across the country. They're excellent. The one in Anaheim and the one on Sunset are both excellent. You go to that show, you're going to have a great time.
That's beautiful, Will. Thank you very much, and have safe journeys and a wonderful time while you're here, man.
Cheers, Scott. Thank you for your time, man.